Let's do it. What is up, you guys? I still need to finish that.
Man, you know what? You can leave it just where it is, because when that beat drop, oh my gosh, man, you be like, yeah, be feeling it, man. Like, oh yeah.
Oh, man.
I thought the intro was cool. Was cool.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm still working on that one. I am glad the throwbacks dropped though, because now I can add a couple more pictures in there, do a couple more clips, stuff like that.
Got the white helmets too. Don't forget about the white helmets.
Yeah, the white shells looking nice. So, as always, I'm Isaiah, Duval's finest on socials. Mainly just X right now. We're working on building out the platform and everything. We got our guest today. We'll go with Mr. Mayr, Titans Takeaways. How you doing today, Mayr?
Hey, look, before I say anything, I just got to say tighten up. You know what I'm saying? Can't say nothing else, before that. But, man, I'm doing good, man. Just got off of work. It's a beautiful day. It's not too hot outside. You dig? So, what's y'all point at?
I think they're pointing at you.
It's
just everybody's
a different.
I did something wrong. Just you said the thing, so it's like we gotta kind of it's awesome. Thanks for coming on for sure.
My pleasure.
I have noticed last year didn't really rain much, and it was still hot as shit. It was like over 100 degrees I'm in Florida, of course.
Yeah.
Still over 100 degrees like every day. It has rained a lot more this year, and it has been in the 90s. Thank God. I will take the humidity because it was still humid when it wasn't raining. So I don't really care about that. But, absolutely, it's been feeling better lately. Eric, how are we doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing really good. Dude, I'm doing really, 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 really well. And you know why I'm doing really well? Because we got a Titan fan on here, and I really, 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 really despise the Titans. I mean, I despise them so bad to back into when they was in the AFC South with us. That's how much I hate them. I mean, they're not the AFC Central. I hated them then. 1999, 3 losses on the season. Yeah, I hate y'all and Jeff Fisher, little monkey ass. I'm just saying. I'm gonna be good though. I'm gonna be good. Look, I'm gonna be good. You're our guest, so I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna get you like that yet.
Don't hold back.
Oh, you say the wrong thing, I won't. You can believe it. But anyway,
I'm not gonna hold back.
Welcome to the show, brother. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be
here. What's up, Trevor? How you doing?
Hey man, Mayr, you already know what fucking time it is. We done talked about this.
I know what it is.
AFC South show, you know what fucking time it is. Fuck that guest shit and fuck all that Titans shit. Fuck the Titans. Fuck them from here, fuck them in the past, fuck them in the future. All tenses, fuck them. I hate the Titans. I don't hate Mayr though. We do fuck with Mayr. I fuck with Mayr.
Yeah.
But fuck the Titans. And it's just a shame that Mayr has to be a fan of such a poverty shithole.
That's crazy.
The worst part. The worst part, Mayr, is that he doesn't even hate the Titans the most. He hates the Texans the most, and so it's like, he goes absolutely feral when the Texans are involved.
The Texans are so irrelevant. I don't hate them. I only hate them recently because of the jerseys. That's the only reason why I don't care about the Texans at all.
And Mayr
recently because of the fucking CJ Stroud's God complex because he had a rookie season with a completely new team that no one had any film on. That's why I fucking hate them. And I hate them because their fan base is so fucking delusional. Like at least 90% of Titans fans will admit, hey, we're in one of those time periods right now. We fucking suck. And the same way the Jaguars had to do. We had to take that shit on the chin a long fucking time. All right. Like but I can say this. I know for a fact, me and every other Jaguars fan I know was real about it and like, hey, we'll take that shit on the chin. We suck. We fucking suck. Yeah. I mean, and it is what it is, but I still love my team, win, lose, or die. Sure. But when it comes to the Texas fans, they've always got some motherfucking excuse. I swear to God, man.
Yeah.
Always some
so just imagine, because they hate us the most because of the Houston thing, which is understandable. So imagine what we have to deal with if Titans fans, right? Oh, yeah. Like the Jaguars. I mean, to be honest, guys, I mean, we've just whooped y'all ass over the years. I really don't hate y'all. You know what I mean? The only thing I hate about Jacksonville is the tap water. To be completely honest, I've been to Jacksonville before. It's a cool city. I had family friends live down there, so I will be there. Y'all got the big ass nuclear plant, shit like that. But the tap water is nasty. I mean, the Jaguars, it really hadn't been that much of a rivalry for most of the series. Like, I mean, let's be real, y'all. It really hadn't been that, like
Yeah.
let's keep it a bean. It's just like us with the Colts. It's just like us
That's
with the Colts.
true. That's true.
You know what I mean? It's the same deal,
Yeah, and I think that right now we're seeing the tides change, but of course it's got to be more than just 2 or 3 seasons to really say like, okay. Which I think right now, technically speaking, our biggest rival would be the Texans, only because we've split with them every year for like the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I know with the Titans, I think y'all swept us, then we swept y'all, and then we split last year.
Okay.
I do think that there have been some years, like even 2017, our two losses in the division came to you guys. It's like, it's one of those things where I will say that, in the series, we haven't done great. I think that going forward, though, with what we're building, the contracts we've re-signed, everything, I think it's going to be a lot more competitive, whether we sweep every year, whether we split, whether you guys sweep. I think there's going to be a lot less certainty in what's going to happen from now on. I will say that I think the Titans have potential to be better this year than what I think that they will be, but I think they also have the potential to be what I think they're going to be, which is not great. And again, it's not because I think that they don't have a good staff in place and that they don't have some good players. I just personally think that the team is not built the way I want to see. Like, I'm used to seeing them built, and that's something else that's kind of weird is, we're not seeing the Titans we've seen for the past 50 years where you have a star running back. I mean, Tony Pollard's good, don't get me wrong, but he's more of a two-way than he is a bell cow. And it's like, we've got a completely different Titans team that I know absolutely nothing about besides, I know Calvin Ridley because he was here. I've seen Will Levis play. I know DeAndre Hopkins because of where he's been. Like, I know how Tony Pollard plays, but I've never seen all those guys together.
Yeah, it sounds like to me you know a lot, though.
Oh, no, I know how they are individually, separately.
You said, I know this about the time. I know this. I know this, but I don't know about
the course.
No, I don't know what they are together. And then also, too, Hopkins keeps getting older. And I think that I want to ask you that question real quick.
What's up?
Who is the number one wide receiver on your team right now?
I mean, it's Calvin Ridley. When you're paying somebody $25 million a year, you're not bringing them in to be a good number two. You're paying them to be a number one receiver. Now, I think that DeAndre Hopkins, talent-wise, I think that he is still a number one. They're pretty much 1A and 1B, but just based off of the contract that you gave Calvin Ridley and the years that you gave him, Calvin Ridley has to be the number one receiver. But I still think that DeAndre Hopkins has a lot left in the tank. I mean, on a terrible team last year, we were in a lot of games, but the record is what it is. We had a top 10 pick. That means you're terrible. But to be honest, DeAndre Hopkins with a rookie quarterback and a quarterback that's trash, he still got over 1,000 yards receiving. So he still has got a lot in the tank. He loves it in Nashville. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the Titans post today. Probably not. But he said this is the best organization that he's been a part of, and he loves being here. I mean, I see him around town. He liked being here. Trust me. I ain't gonna say too much else, but he having the time of his life down here. So I expected a good season out of D-Hop.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like D-Hop too, and I think that one thing, of course, you can't take away a player's greatness no matter who they play for.
Sure.
I have seen some stuff that about Derrick Henry where there's some like kind of divide in the Titans fan base where people are like, it's okay to be happy for him and want him to do good, and then other people are like, you hate the Titans, you're a Ravens fan, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, I mean, I hate the Titans. They're my least favorite team in the AFC South. Absolutely. I love football, so I'm willing to say like a great football player is a great football player, So I like. All right, don't shake your head, no, Trevor.
No. I'm listening. I'm saying like
no.
I know what he's doing. You know what he's doing.
No, I know, but my thing is, I don't know that
I can hate a great player. I can hate a great player.
I can't. That's what I'm saying. I can hate
a great player.
Brady.
Yeah. No, I hate Tom Brady too, but you can't deny their greatness. Is the
problem. No, he's the greatest quarterback of all time, undebatable.
I'm not saying you have to love a player because they're great. I'm saying is you could dislike a player, but you have to talk about their. There's literally like the Locked On Titans guy is like, oh, I don't think Henry was really that great here. He only had a great like 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, how can you say that?
They got trolls. Locked On Titans.
Oh dude.
Nobody.
That dude sucks. Everybody hates him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody hates him.
Yeah, he got in hot water, I think, earlier this year, so nobody pays him any attention.
It's like, and then I see other people like, like backing him up. Hell no.
No, he said something, if my memory serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure that's the same account that said Caleb Farley blew up his own house to get some insurance payment. I'm pretty sure that's the same guy.
So I didn't hear about that.
Oh,
Yeah, no, and
wow.
I know Caleb Farley, and I see him and I talk to him. So now I'm pretty sure that's the same guy because I know there's a Locked On Titans and there's a Tic Tac Titans, and nobody likes either of the accounts.
Yeah, I know everybody hates Tic Tac Titans for sure.
Yeah,
I can't stand that dude either. He's
Well, the
stupid.
Locked On Titans guy, he showed his fucking his.
Oh, that's
his
right.
real
He gonna get his at the end of the show.
Yeah,
He's
getting his.
gonna
We
get his
talked
at the
about
end
it,
of the show.
We'll
I'm
wait.
with y'all on that. We agree on that.
Because he said, and I guess that's a good thing to ask you too. But I do want to shout out one thing. I'm a fan of Derrick Henry because I'm from Nassau County. Derrick Henry played 15 minutes from my high school. We played Derrick Henry. Okay, like I'm a Derrick Henry fan. When you go into Yulee, Florida, in Nassau County, it says "Welcome to Yulee, home of Derrick."
Yep, sure it does. Yep,
it says right on the sign. I am a Derrick Henry fan through and through, but still fuck the Titans. But I'm happy for Derrick Henry. And fuck the Ravens. I don't like the Ravens neither.
No, I can't stand the Ravens.
I can't stand the Ravens because they just stack the deck all the time and still don't make it to the Super Bowl. I don't understand how the fuck you can do that all the time. Anyway, but that's not the topic. The point is,
like the Eagles. That sound like the Eagles.
It is the Eagles. There's a few teams that are like that. There's a few teams like that. But either way, but back to the thing I was going to say though is like the Locked On Titans moron. He said that Jacksonville had the least productive and the worst offseason in the entire AFC South. How the fuck can you say that when the Indianapolis Colts literally did not a fucking thing, but bring in Joe Flacco?
I think that you have a valid point. I mean, the Colts are just so irrelevant in my mind right now that I didn't even really pay attention to shit that they did. To be honest, we all saw.
Pay attention. They didn't do anything.
We all. I mean, Indianapolis is a boring city. I mean, so I much rather go to Jacksonville than Indianapolis any day. My cousins live in Indianapolis, so I go there a lot. I can speak on it. It's a boring town. Okay, so I'm not paying attention. I don't pay attention to nothing Indianapolis unless I'm there for Thanksgiving or if I'm there for a game. I don't pay attention, to the Colts or anything. But Trevor, I do think you're right. You guys definitely made more moves than the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, Locked On Titans, I really don't like to go against people that are cheering for the same team as me. We're on the same damn team. But he's had some weird takes. I think that a lot of accounts do what we call on Twitter engagement farming. And they don't really believe the things that they say. I mean, there's a radio guy here in Nashville. Y'all probably maybe seen him on social media. His name's Jared Stenham, and he does a lot of theatrics with his shit. Now, sometimes Jared is right though. Like he told us years ago, he said, "Yo, Jeffrey Simmons is there at 19. I think we should pick him." And I agree with him. I think Jared from time to time has some great takes, but I think when I listen to him on the radio, he just always acts like the sky is falling and looks into so much stuff that doesn't even make any sense. Like early in the year, he said that DeAndre Hopkins didn't like living in Nashville. And I was like, dog, I literally was just at the club with him. No, he liked it here. Believe me, I have a picture with D-Hop. Yeah, he chilling. He good. But to go back to the Derrick Henry point that we were getting to, I'm gonna be honest, guys. The Titans' biggest rival is actually not in the AFC South. It's actually the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you look at our record, especially if you look at our record as a whole, it's 14-13. And then with the playoffs, the away team has always won in the series. You can go all the way back to the year 2000, all the way up to to this year. It's split down the middle. The away team wins every single time. So our biggest rival, as much as we don't like the Texans and we've had our issues with the Colts and Jaguars or whatever. If you're a Titans fan, you hate the Ravens. So Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, I hope he has a terrible year. I'm sorry. I love Derrick Henry. Me and him at the same barber. I met him plenty of times. He's a great guy. Great guy. If he'd have went to Dallas or if he'd have went to Philly, or I'll be honest, even if he'd have went to Jacksonville, I wouldn't have been upset because that's where he's from. I would understand it. Now I would have hated playing him twice a year. But the thing is, I understand that the team wanted to move on. It's probably in his best interest to move on too. Him trying to win a Super Bowl ring. I would have understood if he'd have went to Jacksonville. But him going to the Ravens and they stepped on our field and said all kind of stuff about you over these past couple years, and that's where you want to go. I have a problem with it. I hope to be honest, I don't want nothing bad to happen to him. Do not get me wrong. I still love Derrick Henry. When he retire, I will re-love the guy. No Diddy. But when he's in that purple and white and gold, black, whatever colors they got, no, sorry,
No.
can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. Should have went to Seattle or somewhere. I
Hey,
buy a jersey. I'm not people. Oh man, I'm gonna buy a Derrick Henry jersey in Baltimore.
well, I think your GM. I don't know whether he just wanted to clean house or what, but and they had to start with Derek because Derek was the foundation. Yeah, I mean, give Derek the ball. Push come to shove, give Derek the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had a crappy offensive line to run behind, but I got nothing but respect for him because I know he used to kill. I used to say, please let Derek be hurt for this game. You know, just for this game. Don't let him play the Jaguars.
Let him be
Oh
sick.
my God.
Let him be sick.
Just
He's
every
the
time.
best. He's the best
Every
Titans
time.
running back. He's the best I think that he's better than Eddie George. I think my running
You had
back
Chris
rankings
Johnson
for
back there too. Yeah.
yeah. This is what my Titans running back rankings are. I'm not talking about the Oilers, even though that the Oilers' history is our history. I'm just talking about since they've been in Nashville. I will
Mhm.
go Derrick Henry. I will go Chris Johnson, and I will go Eddie George. Eddie
Yeah.
George and my mama, they was cool. I love Eddie George, but he had seasons to where he did not run over 1,000 yards and was averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. Chris Johnson, every year that he was a Titans running back, he ran for 1,000 yards every
Yep.
single year. He also had 2,500 all-purpose yards back in 2008, whatever year that was.
Yep.
Derrick Henry ran over 2,000 yards, probably a top 5 player in the league, depending on who you asked for. He didn't have great offensive lines, and he still ran over 1,000 yards every single year. Won 2 playoff games by himself. Ryan Tannehill wasn't doing nothing. Okay. So I think that Derrick, with his whole impact and the way that teams had to scheme up against him, I would say Derrick Henry was the best running back in Titans history. But now that he on them Ravens, oh no, partner.
Well,
Can't do it.
let's stay right here with the little tiny Titans, okay?
All right.
You know,
Yeah, I'm here
Derek,
with the
Derek,
kitty cat, so I
look,
gotta,
look.
I gotta take it.
No, ain't nothing kitty about this. But anyway, uh, um, Derek, over 1,100 yards, gone. They bring in Pollard. Spears still there, and I heard, I think somebody said something about a rookie that was hurt last year. But let's be honest, Pollard is not that bell cow that you're gonna need as the season goes on.
Okay.
Spears is a change of pace back, right? So what should we expect from your running game this year?
I think
Because
it's just gonna go ahead.
and I often say because Pollard basically is a bigger version of Spears without the speed. They do the
Yeah.
same thing basically.
I think Tajay Spears, one thing that I will say about our team, we gonna find a good running back. It doesn't matter if we have a
How you know
five,
you only
six.
had one?
You said what?
I said, how you know that? You only had one for the last 18 years. That was
That ain't
Derrick
true.
Henry.
Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson.
No, he's just saying you
I'm just
stick with a
messing.
running back so long.
Yeah.
You bastard.
Yeah,
You
but
bastard.
what I saw out of Tajay Spears, that's funny, Eric. But what I saw out of Tajay Spears last year, I feel very comfortable with him being the running back number one. I even said during the preseason last year, I say, hey, man, Derrick Henry might be gone next year. It's not that we got a big sample size out of him, but I think that I saw enough. He had to change his shirt. I saw enough out of Tajay Spears to make me be a believer in what he can do. I think that, him and Pollard, I think what you'll see every game is, Pollard have about 10 or 11 carries, and maybe Tajay Spears have 10 or 11 carries. I think that they're both going to get the ball a lot. It's going to be an entirely different offense for sure. These are not going to be the same Titans that you've seen the past 20 years. But I feel very comfortable about our running backs. Every single Titans year, we've had at least a solid running back. Y'all even forgetting about Travis Henry when Vince Young's first year. He ran for 1,200 yards. He was only here for 2 seasons, but
That's
he
right.
even did well. He even
Yeah.
did well with us.
Okay.
So what
So
do you
we gonna
think?
find a good running back.
What do you
Maybe
think
can't
your
find a
offensive
quarterback.
identity
We
is?
gonna find that running back.
Oh yeah, but you've got a history of that, so I'll give you that. You got a history
Yeah.
of finding a good running back.
Yeah.
So what do you think your offensive identity is now? Because obviously we know Titans of past offensive identity is run game,
Good
but now
question.
we know that the run game's different. But is it still the identity of the offense? Because I'm going to say this. I'm going to go and get it out of the way so we can argue about this shit now. Okay. I do not think that Will Levis is the guy, personally. Just because I have watched enough Titans play because, first of all, my uncle is one of the biggest Titans fans I've ever met in my life. Okay? If they ever did anything motherfucking successful, he was in our ear telling us about it. All right. And then not only that, I just enjoyed sports with my family. So we watch all the games. It's been run game and occasional star play from quarterbacks when you were more successful. But I think I don't think Will Levis is that guy. I don't think he's that guy. I don't even think he's as good as the bad year Marcus Mariota, in my opinion. Marcus Mariota, even in his bad year, was still more promising to me. He had more upside. And that's not to say that he can't make the offense work. I just personally, I don't feel like he could be the passing game, be the identity of the offense, because I don't think he could handle it, personally. You've got the receivers. I just don't know that he's the guy to deliver that. You've got the receiving room, absolutely. And then that's another thing later. But anyway, you got the receiving room for sure. I don't know that he's the guy that can deliver that. You know what I mean?
Yep. I'd like to give you a 100% honest answer. I think that the jury is still out on Will Levis. I don't think that he's even solidified his his spot even next year, to be honest. But I'm going to be honest with you. I saw, especially, the Falcons game, the first game that he played, and then the Miami game, when he was able to get
Miami game don't count.
How it don't count?
It don't count.
What do you mean?
Miami
It wasn't
preseason.
It count. It count.
Miami
What you mean?
gave him the game. That don't count. That don't count.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Doing it.
No, we're doing it. Eric said we're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing
Miami
it.
gave him the
That
game.
game don't count.
You want to tell you why it count? You want to tell you why
That don't count.
Why it counts?
That don't count. I don't hear what you're saying. What happened now? What?
Give him a chance, Eric. Give him a chance.
First of all, we only won 4 games at that period of time. They were on a hot streak. Okay, we came into Miami. We were down 14 with 3 minutes left. We came in a trap and took over their trap. You got to give us that game. You got to. If you're not gonna give us that Miami game, I'm not giving y'all that Chargers playoff game. And we're gonna do that.
Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not even.
No, hold on.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah.
We didn't even force it.
No, that's different. That's different.
Hold on. That's way different because in that Chargers game, our defense forced no turnovers. We just completely outplayed them in the second half. It wasn't like they fucked themselves out of the game. They didn't beat themselves in the second half. We just completely outplayed them. It wasn't errors on their part.
I mean, I'm gonna say something real quick. And
okay.
The Miami game counts for me because I got a fucking Will Levis jersey that says it fucking happened because I lost a bet on that game and I had to buy a Will Levis jersey. So
all right.
Well, the thing is, let me give it to you why. Let me tell you why it counts.
Go ahead.
Tell you why it counts, and then I'm gonna get to my point. I'm gonna answer your question, Trevor. Why it counts is because Will Levis, he threw interception on the screen pass, protection kind of broke down, and then that's why they were up 14. When I think it was Wilkins that scored a touchdown. I forget who scored it, right? So we're down 14 with 3 minutes left. There's at that point, I'm at the bar eating food, so I'm thinking that the game is over. Okay, so the Titans they take the ball, they drive it all the way down the field, they score, they get the 2-point conversion. There's no turnover. The Dolphins can just get a first down and the game is most likely over. We stop them. We don't get an interception. We stop them. I'm pretty sure they passed too, and we were able to stop them. Then they punt back to us. We go down and score again. You got to give us that game. You have to.
Okay.
You got to give us that. Yeah,
I have a jersey that says that it happened, so I didn't really matter what I think.
I give it to you.
Yeah, but let me answer Trevor's question. I think that just the protection here in Nashville last year was just so bad that it's hard for me to have a full answer. I just think that he showed me a lot of heart, even in the Pittsburgh game. Even though we didn't come out victorious on that game, he showed me a lot of heart. Every game that he played, he showed me that he could play. When he did get adequate protection, I thought that he played well. I think this with some better receivers, a better offensive line, a better offensive coaching staff. You got to remember, we had Todd Kelly last year, and then we had the drunken bastard the year before. I know Levis don't have nothing to deal with that, but we haven't had adequate offensive coordinators.
I know how you feel there.
Yeah. So it's just, I just think that this is the year that, the judgment's still out. I don't think anybody can say yes or no at this point. I think that we just have to wait and see. I'm eating mayonnaise either way, so it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
mayonnaise is still good.
Okay.
First of all,
So
let's just get that clear.
I have a question for you,
What's up?
and I think that this is either getting way blown out of proportion or it's not. And I think you know where I'm going with this by saying that. T'Vondre Sweat, what do you think about him? What is your opinion? What do you think?
I keep on saying stuff like this. T'Vondre Sweat actually lives downstairs. Yeah, T'Vondre Sweat, he lives in my apartment complex. But anyways, I
Bring
think
him on and
that
let us ask him.
man, no, I have not met him. I know somebody here that hangs out with him, and I was like, "Yo, can I get him on my show?" And she's like, "Well, I'll ask him or whatever."
Yeah.
But anyways, to answer your question, I don't think it's a big deal. I think that everybody knew that he was out of shape. Coming in the draft, he's a little bit overweight. I think with the coaching staff, they're going to get him down to an adequate weight. I love the way that T'Vondre Sweat, he's quick on his feet for somebody that's 300 and 60, 70 pounds. He's quick on his feet. He's good with his hands. He was actually somebody that I really wanted to draft. And I think he's going to be just fine. I think that what Tic Tac is saying, Tic Tac has an agenda against T'Vondre Sweat.
I have noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, he has an
Definitely does.
agenda
He
because
attacks the shit out of him.
he didn't want to draft him. He was one of the guys that he did not want the Titans to draft. Last year, I did not, as well as a lot of people here did not want Will Levis, okay? But once we drafted him and he got to play, all that was out the window. When he got named as that starter, all that hate stuff got out the window. But Tic Tac has this weird obsession of hating on him because he wants to be right. My thing is, after you've drafted somebody, you should want the player to be good. I just think
Absolutely.
that his critiques of T'Vondre Sweat or just really it's weird. Like I said something about it this morning on X. It's weird behavior. I think that the coaching staff, they haven't said anything about him. Yeah, he's overweight. He's got to get in shape. A lot of guys that are starting training camp have to get in shape. I think he's going to be just fine. He
Yeah.
played in Austin, Texas. He's used to the heat. So, and that's a
Yes,
different type of heat too.
Yeah, he's probably
Yes, it
feeling real
is.
good up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and real quick, just to make sure, and I this is kind of where I'm going with this as well, is like off the field, do you have any concerns about that?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, what is he? Did he do something in the past or something?
No.
Yeah,
This
T'Vondre Sweat?
Yeah,
this
did
is
he?
trouble down in
Pretty sure-
Austin and a DUI and a
Yeah, I was
couple
gonna
of
say he got a DUI and
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah,
just
and a
the,
couple
I was
of
about to say
them.
just the DUI and the felony record.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like Jalen Carter, he
Yes.
went to
But
Georgia and I mean, look, when you first of all, Austin, Texas is basically like our sister city. Okay, it's a lot of trouble a lot of people get in trouble in Austin, Texas.
yeah,
Okay?
they do.
He didn't go to Vanderbilt University. He didn't go to Abilene Christian. Like, bro, he went to one
Well,
of the biggest party schools in America. Of course something happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I think he'll be just fine here. I don't think honestly, guys, if he was gonna get in trouble, he would already got in trouble by now. I'm telling you.
I know back in the day when NFL teams had you know, rookies come in that may have had some character issues, as they say. They
Yeah.
would assign a veteran. Hey, keep that boy straight till he get his mind right. And I'm sure Tennessee, then they had some conversations with him about it, and there's
Mhm.
probably some stipulations in his contract as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they keeping their eye on it though. I'm quite sure.
Everybody loves him so far, the Titan, because I know some guys like that work for the Titans media and everything like that. Everybody has liked him so far. He's just a fun guy. People, nobody has said like, oh, I think he's gonna get in some type of like, felonies or anything like that. Everybody loves him in the locker room so far and in the media. So I don't really have anything to really say. I haven't heard anything, through the grapevine about him or anything like that. He's been focused, working on his craft. He's lost some weight. I don't know how much weight that he's lost, but he looks a little trim. Like he may have lost maybe 10 to 15 pounds. Still a big boy.
Yeah.
But I think he's focused on what he's got going on, and the people that I know that hang out with him, they say great things about him. They said how he's a nice guy. He's this, that, and the third. Nothing but good things. So
Okay.
I don't think that he'll have any issues here. But we didn't
Yeah.
know that Isaiah Wilson, because Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, he had no priors. Then he got drafted here, and then he lost his mind, and then he went and became one of the worst rappers I've ever heard in my life. So
he's bad, like historically bad.
Like he's bringing shame to us Isaiah's out there, bro. It's honestly embarrassing.
Like music, like me being a musician, music is subjective. Some people like, certain artists, and some people don't. I think that we can all agree that his music was ass.
Oh yeah,
okay?
Great cheese.
And I don't know where he is now.
Lord.
I think that's probably for the best.
It is. It is. I never want to hear him again.
He really should have stuck with football. That was not.
Wow.
I don't. Whatever. But
I was excited about him too, man. Him being that right tackle, and that's when our offensive line was at least serviceable at the time. I don't even feel like it was great, but I felt like him just being the mammoth of a man, being at that right tackle. That draft pick really set us back. It really screwed us up for a couple of years. It's one of the reasons why we couldn't compete the last 2 years, is because our offensive line was terrible. We could at least had a right tackle there. That would at least helped. You know what I mean? But
well, we know you're paying on the offensive line struggles as well.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of struggles and like filling gaps and stuff like that, and drafts and stuff like that, we've done this in our we've done a complete now with you coming on tour of the AFC South.
Nice.
We had someone on from every show, and I want to make it a point to ask all of them, so I can't exclude you as well. Who do you think actually did have the most productive offseason in filling gaps? And I don't say that and I say that non-biased, and I'm not saying, oh, they signed this big name and this big name. I'm talking about for serviceable, usable positions. Who do you think had the best offseason?
You just don't want me to say the Texans. I get where you're doing. But I would say, and I understand that. I'm with you on that, Trev.
Well, I just say that because they signed Stephon Diggs, and all of a sudden they had the best receiving room in the league. Are you fucking high? DeAndre Hopkins is next to Calvin Ridley. There are better receiving rooms. Are you fucking high?
They're not the best wide receiver core in the National Football League, but they are up there.
They're good.
It's very debatable who has the best between us and them. If anybody wants to say either team, I can understand it. I'm not really gonna fight anybody about it. But I'll be honest with you. I think that the Texans, they did a lot of great things, getting to Nico Autry from us. He's still a great player. It's hard to pay somebody $10 million on a defensive line that's 34. He was able to get that back from Houston. I hate it, but he's going to be very productive for them. They also were able to get Danielle Hunter from Minnesota. They've also got, Will Anderson too as well. So they got a tenacious defensive line. Not that was a humongous need for them, but I think that's going to really help them out defensively because their secondary is a little suspect. Jalen Petry's probably like 5'3" on a good day. But he's still a good player. They've got Byron Stingley too as well. But if you've got a good pass rush, that's going to help out a lot. But to answer your question, I would say technically we'd had the best offseason because before the offseason started, we definitely had the worst wide receiver room in the South. Now it's debatable that is it the best. Now that we've got Calvin Ridley, we've got Tyler Boyd. A lot of people forget about him. He's a great third option.
Yeah, it's the oldest.
It's the oldest, but they're still for sure.
They're still good athletes.
They're still good athletes. It's not going to be, a solution for the next 3 or 4 years, but I think a year or two, I think is going to be very, very serviceable. I think on the offensive line, getting J.C. Latham, I still have my questions about him. Somebody that goes from right tackle to left tackle, but Brian Callahan, Tom Callahan coming in to coach the offensive line, I think that's going to be a big improvement. We've had the worst offensive line the past 3 years. So I think that, to make improvements on the team, I would honestly have to say we did. And then also getting, L'Jarius Sneed, also getting, Jamal Adams. I don't expect him to be the starting strong safety, but I do expect him to have an impact on the secondary, maybe playing maybe a box linebacker.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Yeah, maybe a box linebacker.
Box linebacker status. Yeah, you're absolutely right there.
What about Burks, man? What about Burks? You skipped all over him. What is he doing?
I said it at the end, but I'll go more into Burks. I think that Burks, him moving down to the 4 is going to be very beneficial for him. He's going to get some favorable matchups. Burks is a big man and he's speedy too as well. A lot of people don't don't see it because he's injured a lot. But he has great speed for somebody that's his size, and I think he's going to be a matchup threat for a lot of fourth string corners. I also think that a lot of people have talked about him possibly being the returner as well. So I think that he's going to have a big impact on the team. I couldn't tell you, this is how many yards he's going to have because I don't know what this offense is going to look like. And he's the fourth receiver most likely. At best, he's the third. Okay, so I can't tell you like how many catches he's going to get, but I think he's going to have a productive year. This is going to be his most productive year for sure.
Okay.
What about Chig?
Chig, I like Chig.
I like him coming out. Like I just don't think they've done anything with him. Like I don't know.
Quarterback and offensive line, like just since he's been here, I think he's an athlete. I think he will be utilized. But when you look at Brian Callahan, when he was, when he was over the Bengals offense, they don't really use the tight end a lot. So I can't really say, how many catches he's going to get. I think when he gets the ball, he's going to be productive. But he may probably catch 35 to 40 balls at best. Right. I mean, that's what he did last year. He came on at the end of last year, but when you're paying a receiver $25 million, you've got a Hall of Famer in DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I could see him having a good year, but I can't predict it because I just can't predict it.
Yeah. And something that happened here in Jacksonville last year that I'm sure that the guys can agree with, and I kind of want your take on this. You guys. We had Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk got hurt, but I think that you guys are lucky to have the DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, Tyler Boyd, he's nothing to sneeze at, but he's not amazing. He's gonna be a solid 3 that can get you yards, and he's got good hands. Yeah. With Calvin Ridley coming in and paying him all that money, like when we brought him in, it almost felt like, and I'm sure you watch our games, I'm sure, at least when we're playing each other too. It's like it almost felt like they were really trying to just force feed him and Trevor just get him the ball all the time. Like there were many times where you had a guy wide open and like Brenton Strange when he came on the field or running back out of the backfield. And it just seemed like the game plan was always try and force him the ball. If God forbid, and I don't want anybody to get hurt, of course, I love DeAndre Hopkins and he's a great player, but like, let's say if Hopkins or somebody does go down, can you see a similar thing happening with a young quarterback like Will Levis and having that, the guy that's supposed to be the guy in Calvin Ridley potentially pushing the ball a little bit more to him? Or do you think that Callahan and that offensive staff will keep him even keel and make sure he's spreading the ball around?
I'm going to say I've got 2 answers. So I'm going to say even keel because that's how the Bengals offense was. That's the only really thing I can go off of. I mean, you have Jamar Chase, but they got the ball to T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and other options that they had on the Bengals offense. So I'm going to say he's going to be an even keel player. I think he was even keel last year. He got the ball to other guys too. He wasn't just throwing at DeAndre Hopkins every play. Now, was he throwing at him the most? Yeah, he's number 1 receiver, so he's getting majority of targets. But I do think that Levis and Chig, I mean, they kind of got in a little bit in a rhythm late last year. So I could see, Chig making a couple plays every single game. Can't tell you how many catches he's going to have for the whole year. But I think there's enough options there. Even at NWY, Nick Westbrook-Akine is good options. You've got Burks. You've got, you have Calvin Ridley. I think what happened, with Trevor last year, and this is something I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a clip in a Titans OTAs where I guess Calvin Ridley had told one of the players, in practice, it was really weird because they would have days to where, okay, Trevor, you're going to throw to Christian Kirk today. So it would be Christian Kirk's day, or it may be Calvin Ridley's day, or it may be this person and this person, and this person. So I think that's probably why you saw that in the game. But with the Titans, it's not going to be like that. Maybe if I can find the, because I remember me and my friends were talking about that. Maybe I can send a link of that to you guys. You could talk about it maybe on the next episode. But that is something that Calvin said that in practices they would have. Okay, it's Evan Ingram's day, so Trevor would just throw it at Evan Ingram all day. He wasn't really just spreading around the ball. So that's most likely why you saw that in the game. How you practice is how you play.
Yeah,
so I guarantee you
that actually. So definitely give us that link. So
I'll find it.
Because I'm going to training camp tomorrow. I'll be present for our training camp tomorrow. And every other training camp I've attended, which I attend all of them usually, that IQ can go to. I can say I've never seen something like that. You can't, obviously, I can't speak for conversations that happens behind closed doors that only players would know about. But I've never once witnessed, let's focus on this guy day, pretty much. Because that would become glaringly obvious throughout the course of the day that this is what you're doing. I can say I've never seen that. And I will say this too, and the only thing I will say is it's become very clear that Calvin Ridley is a big talker about things, because the first thing Calvin Ridley said on the Titans podium was that he wanted to stay in Jacksonville. I mean, bro, there are just things that as a professional that you just really shouldn't say. You just really shouldn't say some of these things. Like, you're really giving great hope and aspirations to your new fan base and your new organization that you're happy to be there by saying that you wanted to not be there.
You much rather. I'm
sure he's adapting. I'm sure he's adapting. I know he's probably enjoying his time. But like, regardless, day one, you came out on the podium, and that's one of the first things you say is that you really wanted to stay in Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, Derek wanted to stay here too. I don't know if he said that on the podium, which is a big difference, but he had said like, he wanted to finish his career.
He wanted to retire a Titan. Yeah, he wanted to retire a Titan. It just didn't make sense for both parties, and that's one thing. But when it comes to like, and this will kind of segue into something I wanted to talk to you about too, because both of our teams have been on the hot seat as topic of conversation when it comes to overpays and what some would perceive to be overpays or not. But I would say, like, when it came to the amount of money that a borderline 30-year-old receiver is asking for, that regardless, we talked about this on the AFC South show. His jersey's not there anymore, but it's not because I don't love his jersey. I love him. He's still on the wall over here. I just moved it there because it's a different style of jersey, and I like to change it sometimes. Those two aren't anywhere; they're throwbacks, but I like to move stuff around. But anyway, Ridley, for the lackluster play that we got from, and I don't say lackluster when in comparison to typical receivers. I say it in comparison to other elite receivers, because he is in the category of elite, and he's in the category of elite receiver pay. So I expect elite receiver performance. We got a lackluster performance in the category of elite receivers, because elite receivers do not have 8 drop touchdowns. They don't. Elite receivers don't just lose concentration in the middle of a play, however many times he did that. Like, I literally lost count. It happened so many times. Now, all these things being said, you would think that he would understand these things and understand that these things were present. Not doubt yourself and not like lower your value per se, but like also understand that these are the things you did produce for us. You didn't come out and give us $90-something million contract worth of performance. You didn't do that. You gave us a good contract worth of performance. Like, you should have got paid, absolutely. But you didn't give us that type of money worth of performance. So you would think that you'd be appreciative that the Titans are willing to pay you this, and then that you still, the first thing you say on the podium is, I would have rather stayed in Jacksonville. Like, you just shouldn't do that. And that's why I say I would be very interested in seeing that clip, not because I doubt like you guys saw it or anything, but because it just goes to show that I will say that makes me feel better that he's not in Jacksonville as far as like a locker room personality, because like I said, I've never once witnessed that. And I will say, I know, and I follow, and we all closely watch and follow our teams. This would have become a thing that was glaringly evident long before now. I don't feel like this is something that would have just been like, oh yeah, by the way, we kind of secretly and no one somehow has noticed that we just focus on one receiver per day. Like, I don't think that's something that's even remotely possible in the grand scheme of with all the eyes that are watching. I'm not saying that never happened, but I will say like that's not a consistent thing.
Yeah.
But
hey, finish, Trevor. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna. No, you're good, Eric, because I was about to segue us into the overpay thing anyway. So you're good.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was going to say is I kind of understand it. Sometimes because I've been looking for that clip. That's what I've been doing, trying to find it. Because if I can find it, I'm gonna find it.
But anyway, it's hard to find. I'll send it. I'll find it. I'll send it to Trevor. Yeah, I can find it.
Depends on how that was said, though, the context of it. And the reason why I'm saying that, it could have been part of the game plan, depending on the matchups and the schemes, to where they were concentrating on maybe, exposing a certain coverage with certain receivers. Now, you have to look at it both ways, right? Now, as far as you stand up on the podium and say, "Well, I'd rather be with the Jaguars," yeah, if I was a Titan, I would kind of feel a certain way about that too. I really would.
I have
You
to go.
know?
I have to go and watch that because I mean, I'm always on the go. I don't have a chance to watch every single press conference, but I'll go back
Mhm.
and look at that, and I could have a
Yeah,
better answer to how I feel about that.
yeah.
But
That would bother me. You know,
In a
knowing
nutshell,
we
he
just
said,
paid you all this money and you supposed to be produced, but you telling me. So what? When we play them, and it is a divisional opponent. How are you gonna act? What you gonna do?
Isaiah, are you
You know what I
doing
mean?
what I think you're doing?
Huh? Oh, Isaiah.
Are you
I'm
trying to?
not.
Are you looking up that?
Oh, yeah, I am looking at the clip. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
not the. I wasn't looking at the interview clip. I was looking for the one about the
Okay,
receiver per day.
hold on.
Oh yeah.
I'll look that up real
then
quick.
I'll
I
just
can
try
tell
and
you,
I
I
can't
can tell
find
you
it.
where to
So
find it. I can tell you where to find it. You have to go to the Titans Instagram page, and I feel like it's the first one. It was like a OTA, and it's not something that like was highlighted. But you can hear the person telling, because actually one of my homeboys had pointed that out, and he sent it in the group chat. So I went to
right.
go listen to it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's right there. Like it would take you probably like 20 minutes to find it. So
Wow.
I'd have to go back to the post, find the post, and then
Mm,
I can just send it to you. It's clear as day. Like you could hear somebody talking in the background. Like the camera, I think is on Brian Callahan, and then I think the guy is talking to Callahan or he's talking to somebody else, and he mentions what I alluded to, saying one day it'd be Calvin Ridley Day or it'd be whoever day.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
He could just be lying. I don't know.
Well, I
This
mean,
is what we think.
that's why I say, sometimes we have to take into consideration the context that it was said and the whole conversation going on, because we do know news media, they'll take something and run with it, especially with a sports team. You
Nah,
know,
this is a player saying that. This is a
well,
player saying that. Yeah.
Right.
but it's out
But
there.
he
Okay,
also
but we'll see, huh?
there's top 2 comments on his opening presser because I wanted to play it for you.
Right.
Okay.
The first comment is takes a transparent guy to admit where he really wanted to be, but it just didn't work out. Next comment is dude is honest and not afraid to speak the truth. Basically, like just saying, it just further alludes to what I said, pretty much. But
well, this is my first day. I'm still, learning what it is to be a Titan, but it's amazing, man.
he is happy to be. He was grateful.
But I think they gave me some years here, so I'm excited to show my talent and my skills and learn the city and learn the fans and just honestly overwhelmed these last couple of days.
Why the Titans? Why come
back? It's a new start.
He's big on that shit. He does that
And,
shit.
Yeah. Gotta watch your words though too.
through the process of trying to evaluate the teams that I could possibly be with. I know that I have a certain type of skills, and so I'm not scared to go with the good or with who's trying to be good. So I think playing them twice a year, I was watching them and looking at the things they did have. I know that D Hop's here, and I know that I want to play with another receiver on the other side that can help me do what I do best too. So I knew that they had that, and I knew they had a really good defense, and they were upcoming and stuff. So I was looking into it, and I really wanted to honestly be with the Jags, but there was a lot of things that I wasn't.
Basically, essentially the same. Exactly what we said. He said, pretty much just he did say he wanted to be with the Jags, and that being said, that I'm not saying that that's like a dig on Ridley. I'm just saying like that just goes to show dude's willing to just say anything in front of anybody. Like not necessarily that he's willing to lie about stuff, but like he'll just. And there's not a whole lot of context given to that. He basically just says, I wanted to be with the Jags, but the contract didn't line up. There was no reassurance given to say, I still am very happy about this. You know what I'm saying? Like he said the typical cookie cutter shit that you say in your opening statement anytime, but like it just showed me that he's willing to say anything. And in Jacksonville, I don't know about the culture in Tennessee. Okay, the culture of the locker room. Like I know the culture of the locker room. There's a lot of disgruntled guys. And there's a lot of guys that are happy to be there. There's a lot of guys that are just happy to make a new start. I know that in Jacksonville we do have a culture. These guys are family together. Like you could see it through their personal Instagram pages. You can watch it through their personal lives. They are involved in each other's personal lives. They are family to each other. They're not just guys that come together to do a job. And I will say Ridley never fit into that when he was here. Ridley was always off by himself. You never saw a post about Ridley being with them in spare time unless it was training. You never saw any of that actually. And even then, like
damn good point.
And he also, like, in all of his personal interviews, because I watched every one of his interviews. I loved Calvin Ridley. Like, I think I've made that clear by now. Like, I really do love Calvin Ridley as a player. Just in all of his interviews, I always watched him, and he always had some closer to selfish answers. You get
there it is right there. There it is right there. Yep.
Let me just real quick. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong thing.
Hey,
y'all hear it?
Mm-hmm.
There's enough balls for everybody.
Yeah, but he was just talking about how Jags, how they do like, okay, this show day, this show good, like any given Sunday on this off, right?
And any play.
Yeah, so that was kind of that's it right there.
Tyler Boyd, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay. He was saying, the Jags do it a different way. Like it's your day, it's your day, it's your day.
So they're game planning essentially. It's like we think that we win the matchup. What's what it sounds like to me. To my interpretation, it sounds like in this game we think you have the best matchup. We're looking for you. Go win the matchup. You guys, it's just like whoever gets there, and that's how it really truly should be. So props to you guys for that. I hope we make a change to not do that anymore. I know that in Doug's first year it was like that, and you could tell because the ball went to fucking everybody. Last year it was more. Let's try.
Well, I would say that, like, I think something just like that clip, bringing it to light. I do think that if you look at the past two seasons and you really look at it, there are certainly games where Christian got like 13 or 14 balls, and then someone else only got like 2 or 3. And then there were games where Zay Jones got like 10 or 12 balls and then was not seen the next game, whether he's hurt or not. So there's games where Evan got 15 to 16 balls, and then the next game he might get like 4 or 5. So I would say that I do think there could be some real weight to that. And I don't know necessarily that Calvin Ridley is. It sounds like it could be something that's happening, and I think it is evident on game day if you really sit down and think about it. And thanks for bringing that up, Mayr, because I do think that is a good point, and that kind of does make you realize like there's definitely games last year and this year, last season and the season before, where there are games where one person is targeted more than the other.
Yeah,
and sometimes even though like. And that kind of makes a good point about like the Texans game last year when they had Shaq Griffin. Like anytime Shaq Griffin was anywhere close to Ridley, they were throwing the ball to him. And that's a matchup thing, but it seems like too, like that was just that game, which Ridley dropped a couple of them. He was having a weird game. That was still early in the season. But again, it's like that definitely does make sense as something that could and definitely probably is at least sometimes happening. So definitely thanks for bringing that up. And that definitely does bring to light some of the things we've seen and not really understood, and thought about.
Yeah. It just makes sense. That may have like no correlation at all. It just makes sense in my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this though. Trevor was talking about Calvin Ridley and the amount of money that he got or whatever. Really, the amount of money that Calvin Ridley got from the Titans, it really all comes back to the Jaguars, my guy. Let me explain why. The guy that you just mentioned, y'all overpaid for Christian Kirk. Don't you realize? And this was good for you guys. Don't get me wrong. I've said this for the past 2 years. Christian Kirk is one of the reasons why we no longer have AJ Brown. It was a chess move. When you guys got Christian Kirk, you guys, weren't very good at that time, right? So you have to pay a suckage tax, as I like to call it, right? So you overpaid for Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, you paid him like a number one receiver for the money at that particular time, right? Yeah. Us, we were trying to keep AJ Brown underneath $20 million a year. Christian Kirk gets that money. Now people like Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown, now they're wanting $20 million a year. Christian Kirk really reset the wide receiver market.
Whoa.
Yeah, hold on.
I knew it was coming.
I was waiting for those words.
He did.
I was waiting for those words.
It was coming.
He did.
Mike Williams signed his contract 4 days before Christian Kirk and got more money per year as a number 2 wide receiver. Mike Williams reset the wide receiver market, not Christian Kirk. Now,
nobody thinks about Mike Williams because he's always hurt. So you're probably right about that.
Exactly. But no,
I forgot about him.
I will 100% admit we overpaid for Kirk because we were paying the Jacksonville tax, and now we're not paying the Jacksonville tax. In my opinion, we're doing better. We are getting better deals done, but absolutely, we overpaid Christian Kirk at the time. I think it's paid off for us, and I think that he has put production on the field that equals what we're paying him compared to what other ones are doing in the league, and he has been our proverbial one.
It's a fair deal now, and I think like Calvin, he's getting $25 million for us. But I mean, now what Jefferson getting paid like what $34 million? He's way better than
30-something million.
Don't get me wrong. But now all the receivers, even if they are top 10, top 15, they're going to be getting $30 million a year.
Yep.
So the bad part, we may have overpaid for this year and maybe next year, but in the third year, that's going to be probably about what he's worth, to be honest. Same thing with Christian Kirk. I mean, it's once a player resets the market, it turns out to be not that bad of a deal in the next year or so. I mean, that's just honestly how it goes. I did not expect for us to get Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was not on my radar, but we definitely needed a receiver. You said what?
I said y'all were kind of a dark horse team. Like nobody was talking about the Titans until like the day before he signed. Then all of a sudden you guys jumped on the scene, and it was like, oh shit, it's going to be the Titans or us. Like it was because everybody's talking about like, the Patriots, and like that was like everybody's like, oh, the Patriots are a done deal, and then like out of nowhere the Titans jump on the scene, and then I wanted to be in Jacksonville, but they wouldn't match the money. It's like it was kind of weird, like how it all happened. And
that's just honest. That's I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm not mad at that. I mean, I'm not mad at saying that.
Well, you have to remember too, we had that clause with Atlanta too. After a certain day, the draft pick becomes lower, not higher. So.
And that's one thing I will say too is like he says he wanted to be in Jacksonville, and this I think this is where he's kind of playing both sides of the fence, and this is more what I was getting at when it comes to that comment. Like I'm not mad at him for being honest. I respect honesty, okay, but you're playing both sides of the fence. If you'd rather have been in Jacksonville, and I just say exactly what I said earlier, if you recognize number one the production you actually gave, you recognize that you have to. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also recognize that the reason you didn't get paid before the trade deadline or the deadline was because of the draft pick. It had nothing to do with us not wanting you here. And you already knew that. This was nothing to do with that. You ended up taking it and turning it into a cash grab. Okay. I'm not saying don't do what's smart for you. That's not what I'm saying. But there are players, and we've seen it time and time again, where they take a deal that's team friendly and also benefits them because they want to be there. Don't say you wanted to be there because you damn sure didn't show it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he didn't, but I'm just saying like it from all outside appearances, you say that, but what's the point of you saying that? What was the point? Because I don't feel like that is 100% honest. I feel like you wanted to go wherever the most money was, and that's evident because that's what you did.
That's what you did.
You went against exactly what you said you wanted to do. And it's not like, from what I understand, Mayr, we and you talked about this, our last offer to him was not far off from what the Titans gave him. I will say I'm very glad that we didn't match the offer, not because I wouldn't have loved to have Ridley back, but because we shouldn't have had to pay the Jags tax on him. He was a big part of our failures. We shouldn't have had to pay you the Jags tax. You were the reason that we would have had to pay it, not alone.
Well, hold on, no, he was a reason for a little bit of your success too, because
I know
he killed us last year.
Yeah, I know he
really did us in last year.
He did. He did, but that's the thing. There was only a few games that he did that. You want elite receiver money. You need to show up like an elite receiver, not a part-time. And that's what I'm saying. If you really wanted to be here, you look at yourself just like we have to look at the team. The team has to look at itself for our failures. He looked at it as like, I'm not the reason that we failed, and I'm going to go get as much money as I can get. And he didn't have to say that. His actions said that. You know what I mean? And then you say that you wanted to be here. So I don't believe that is 100% honest. You know what I'm saying? And that was the overall point I'm getting at is like you say, yeah, I want to be here. And then every one of your actions say the latter,
Man, people lie every day, gang.
That's a fact.
I'll be honest. Yeah, people lie every day. Just like AJ Brown.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of the not to say that what you say isn't valid because it 100% is, but AJ Brown is the same way. He when he left us for the Eagles, I remember it was like he's getting his teeth pulled out. He's getting his tooth pulled out or something. And he went on Instagram Live. He was on that laughing gas. And he said, man, I want to win a Super Bowl with the Titans. I want to be a Titan for life, yada, 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 yada. Okay, right? So that same summer, he begs for Julio Jones. The Titans were not going, most likely, were not going to get Julio Jones if AJ Brown went on TikTok crying about it. Okay. So the Titans, they go out there, they trade a second round pick, which they honestly needed. And we had to take Julio. And to be honest, I don't think Julio was as bad as people try to
No.
say he was here. Because I think when he was healthy, he was productive. He played really good in the playoff game that we lost against the Bengals. He actually had a pretty good game. He had a good game against the Bills. He had a good game against Seattle. But to be honest, it was not worth a second round pick. But the Falcons knew that we wanted Julio because of AJ, and that next year, um, he definitely deserved over $20 million for sure. But if you wanted to be here that bad, they were trying to negotiate with AJ. So our GM at the time, he's thinking about Jeffrey Simmons that we have to pay. David Long at the time. We had other players that we needed to pay to keep our window open. So he's trying to get AJ to, he's still negotiating with AJ. Now, our owner, Amy Adams, she gave it came out that she gave John Robinson a green light to pay him what the Eagles paid him, right? Well, AJ, he stopped communicating with the organization, and the organization, which I think that they shouldn't have still traded him. But since he stopped communicating with the team, they're just like, okay, well, he don't want to be here anymore. Let's go get something for him. Let's go get a Burks that we think could be similar to an AJ Brown. And obviously that was a bad decision on our part. But on AJ's side, he could have still communicated with the team. And I'm sure eventually he would have probably got 22 or 23 million because the ownership said that was okay for us to pay him that.
It sounds
So it's the
similar
same
to
deal.
us with Ramsey. And again with Ridley, like you're right. We're very similar in these matters. And one of some other things I think we should get to too, because we're really into this episode.
Yeah, we good. We cooking. I'm good.
Time.
Yeah,
I got time.
yeah.
We always got time to talk football as long as it's
You do.
legit.
That is a fact.
So we obviously, one thing we as Jaguar people have to mention on this pod, and it's good that you're here, we get your opinion on it too, is we just paid Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell got paid.
He did.
But I can say this. If we were going to pay someone, it should have been somebody like Campbell who has shown us the production in his time here. He didn't just show flashes. Like before his injury, he was locked down. I mean, locked down. That boy was strapped. Like you was not just throwing on Tyson Campbell. Now, that's what he got paid for. Because they're watching him through his rehab. Nobody knows what's going on with him like he does, but the team knows better than we do about where he is with his recovery. I think that's evident for any team dealing with a player recovering from an injury. They're going to know what's going on with that player more than we, the fans, do, obviously. That's why he got paid. And then because basically the argument here in Jacksonville has been with a lot of people is why couldn't we have paid Ridley that money? We've now paid Allen, we've paid Trevor, and we've paid Campbell. And we've done a few different extensions and restructures too that were really beneficial as well and opened up cap space.
Okay.
I think it comes down to 100%. He was not what he will be worth and what he was worth are two different things. And I think that when you're telling the team that you want to be here and that this is what you want, but you also you're being understanding of like what we've got going on as well, because it's the similar like you just explained. Whether people admit it or not, or whether they want to argue about it or not, Trevor Lawrence deserved every damn dime he got. And he's going to – and because simply just for the fact of if you've got a guy that can produce for your franchise, whether he's like the superstar quarterback in the league or not, you pay that guy. You absolutely pay that guy, and that's the going rate of QBs now anyway. Let's just to set that down on the table, and then we could discuss why he deserved the money in further reasons later. But regardless, we knew we had to pay him. Josh Allen absolutely had to be paid. Josh Allen, in my opinion, is a top 3 edge rusher, and I mean, prove me wrong. Like who else? Like literally
deserved his money.
Josh Allen deserved every fucking penny.
He's definitely. I don't know about top 3. I don't know about top 3, but I would definitely put him in the top 7 to 10. Forget the rankings.
Regardless, he's up there.
He deserved his money. He deserved his money.
So we
no
knew
argument for me about that.
Yep, we knew he needed to be paid. And honestly, we have a bad history with we fuck up on corners. Jalen fucking Ramsey. We had debatably at the time the best cornerback in the National Football League.
I wasn't no debate.
Dude was the fucking best. I mean, yeah. I was just saying debatably for anybody that wanted to argue about it, because for me, I know it. Like, I'm gonna show you right now.
I don't know who arguing about that though.
But like, let's just.
That was hard.
That's my dog.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just be real. I love Ramsey.
He's from the city too, so I'm never gonna hate on Jalen Ramsey. He's from right down the road.
And you can ask these boys too. All right, like we have talked about Jalen Ramsey multiple times. Okay. We have a bad history of that. We have another guy that could produce at that level. Like, and I'm not saying that he is right now, but he can, and he's shown us that, because those first 2 years before injury, dude, you were not throwing on him. It just was not going to fucking happen. You could throw anywhere else on our defense, but it was not going to fucking be Tyson Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
When I don't notice a corner, that's a big deal. Not that I didn't know he was on your team, but he just never comes up in my memory. And that's what you want your corner to be like. So me, I'm not, obviously you guys are third and Teal. I'm Titans takeaway. So I don't pay as much attention to the Jaguars as you guys do. So Tyson Campbell getting that money. If you say that he's locked down, I'm going to take your word for it.
Oh yeah.
I don't hear nothing bad about him. So if I don't hear nothing about a corner, then you should pay him.
Well, all I can say is D-Hop's Hall of Fame, right? We know this.
Yeah.
Right.
Even an injured Tyson Campbell did not let D-Hop take the game over.
I mean, yeah.
He strapped up.
D-Hop had some games where he was killing it, even at his age.
Yeah. He's definitely still got the step. And an injured Tyson Campbell.
Well, you know what? When you put it that way, it's easy to see the picture. Okay, do we go ahead and re-sign a 30-something receiver, or do we use that money that we would be paying him to re-sign our young core that we just drafted in 21 and 20 and make sure they stay together for at least another 3-4 years?
I think that's the best way to do it. I mean,
and basically that's what they chose to do. I from what I'm looking at now, that's what they chose to do, and you can't knock them for that.
And it's about time, because we have a history of having retarded ass fucking front offices, dude. Like, they just make idiotic moves. Jalen Ramsey should have never left Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey should still be in Jacksonville. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because he wanted to fucking be here. Like, he actually made efforts and tried, to the point, like, he was going on Instagram and telling people, if I leave Jacksonville, it's because of them. It ain't got nothing to do with me wanting to be out of here. Like, I still remember that shit going on. Like, I was younger, obviously, at the time, but I still remember that. Jalen Ramsey was my favorite fucking player on the team. All right? Like, I was watching that very closely. Like, and, you know, I think finally and this is where this will circle back to the production of off seasons and who had a better one. We're all obviously going to say our team had the best off season, but that's because we're not paying as much attention to everybody else's.
Correct.
But I will give you some information about ours, like you gave us about yours, and maybe we can then have the discussion one more time in a quick summary. Okay. Like, so Jacksonville has never had a problem of too much depth and knowing who to play. We've never had that problem. We now have that problem in every core group.
It's good.
And we not only now have that problem in every core group, we have usable and very good players in these lists of people, like not just bodies to fill a spot. Like, we've got guys that can change the fucking game. Like, our secondary, Andre Cisco, when he's not injured, lockdown. I think that there's no debate there. There ain't no debate there. Cisco will take the top off of a fucking offense very quickly. It will not happen as long as he's healthy. But that's for any player. So let's just take the health out of it. Cisco is a lockdown safety. Okay. Our young safety, Antonio Johnson. That guy is a certified fucking stud. Every time he got on the field last year, because he was rookie, but every time he got on the field, that guy changed the game when he was on the field. He made an impact. And he did that with limited playing time. So he's the closest thing we have to a question mark in our secondary, other than Jerry and Jones, which we'll get to that in a second too. But you move down from safeties to our corners. We were getting cooked at corner. Cooked, other than Tyson Campbell. Even when he was injured, he wasn't really getting cooked like that. D. Will was our best corner, and he was 31 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Like, he was playing the best, and he was 31 years old. We now have Tyson Campbell's back from injury, and reports say right now he's better than he's ever been. They always say that, but I will say from the clips I've seen of him, he's putting everybody in a fucking hell in training camp right now. Like, he is pressing everyone and daring you to try to get off the line. Do it. Like, you know, and that's what the fuck we like to see. But anyway, moving on. Now we've got Ronald Darby and Darnell Savage. Okay. Those are two savvy veterans. All right. Nobody can debate that they're not good players. Like, you can't say they're bad players. Like, you can say that they're not game changers per se. It just depends on what season of theirs that you look at. But regardless, nobody can say they're bad players. We got savvy vets to teach young guys.
They no scrub. They not no scrubs now.
No, they damn sure not no scrubs. They are not no scrubs. They will lock
at all.
They will lock your 2 and 3.
Play.
Sure.
They'll play.
They'll lock your 2 and 3. Like, at 9 out of 10 teams, they're going to lock down the 2 and 3 receiver. Absolutely. But moving past that, now we drafted Jarrian Jones, the rookie from Florida State. I don't know if you're familiar with Jarrian Jones, but Jarrian Jones didn't allow a single touchdown in 2 fucking years. That takes some serious skill.
Yeah.
Okay, because he was on an ACC, like, I'm not saying the ACC is the SEC or anything, but we're not going to debate college. But regardless, he was on an undefeated Power 4 championship team, and still never allowed a touchdown for 2 seasons.
It's impressive. I mean, it doesn't matter if he was playing on the 2001 Miami team.
Yeah,
not allowing a touchdown in 2 years. It's impressive. I don't care what school you're playing for.
Right, that's very impressive. And so we move on from him, and we got Prince. Prince is a question mark as far as between him and Jarrian. Like, he's the question mark for sure. But you watch his highlights, he's still a good 3rd or 2nd receiver coverage guy. He's probably not going to lock down your 1, but your 2 and 3 are fucked. Okay, like your 2nd, 3rd option, they're probably going to have a tough day against him from his college thing. We'll see how he translates. But so we went from having a defense that if you could run on us and you could throw on us. Now you cannot throw on us, or you're not going to throw on us easily anyway. Okay. Then we fixed the run game problem too. Our linebacking core has always been good. I don't think anybody can debate that. Like, Foyesade Oluokun is one of the best linebackers in the game, and Devin Lloyd is one of the best young linebackers in the game. Not the best, but he's up there. You know what I mean? Like, you take away his thumb cast, and he's like what, top 7 in picks for linebackers if you take away his thumb cast.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully,
yeah.
Just bounce it. You've seen it. Like, it hit the thumb cast and just made a weird bounce. Like, he probably is bringing those down. You can't say it for sure, but regardless, the talent's there. He's getting his hands on the ball, so the talent's there. You can see it. Okay, so our linebacking core was not the problem. Now we know they're solid. It was our D line because we only had 2 real playmakers. We had Josh Allen and we had Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker is a certified stud. I do not care what anybody has to say. Argue with your motherfucking mama. Trayvon Walker is a stud. He's a stud.
Yes.
And then we all know what Josh Allen is. Josh Allen's that motherfucker, man. All right, Josh Allen's that dude. Okay. Now we add Eric Armstead, who you guys were also pursuing. It actually, if I'm not mistaken, it came down to us or the Titans. Actually, the Texans were in the race as well, but I think it was us or the Titans in the end. Eric Armstead, bro, you're not going to show me too many interior D linemen that are better. He's at least top 10. He's at least top 10 in his play.
Interior defensive lineman? I haven't seen him on any list, but I will say that he's a good player, and that's why we wanted him here.
Yeah, he's a very good player. And then Devon Hamilton. Devon Hamilton is a game-wrecking monster when he doesn't have blood poisoning. I mean, he played last year with blood poisoning, literally. Wow. I mean, he's a trooper for sure. But, like, before blood poisoning, and they're saying now he's bigger, stronger, and that's over with. He's healed now. Thank God. Like,
good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him for sure. He's coming back. He's a beast. And then Mason. Oh my God, that dude is a mountain of a man. A D tackle. We just drafted him and another guy from an interior D lineman from LSU. So we got 2 interior D linemen from LSU, both coached by Ryan Nielsen, by the way, in his tenure there. So that also helps with the hiring of Ryan Nielsen. And I think coaches also play a part in offseason moves. I would have to say that for certain. So offseason moves, we bring in Ryan Nielsen.
They were coached by Matt House, not Ryan Nielsen.
Oh, really?
Ryan Nielsen? No, Ryan Nielsen was in New Orleans. He was with the Saints. Matt House was.
Matt House went there, and then he pulled Matt. Okay, never mind. You're right. My bad. I apologize. No, anyway, but regardless, there's still ties there. There's still ties you can follow around. Like, they're familiar with each other. So
exactly.
Now, presumptively, I would have to say Jacksonville has to be I would have to say solid number 10, like number 10 in the league as far as our D line goes. like our front seven, we have some of the best backers in the game. And the only other team that had a more solid, like all the way around front seven that I can think of was San Francisco, but they just blew that shit up this offseason. They blew that shit apart. I'm not saying that we're number one or anything, but we're absolutely top 10 with our front seven now. Like, I don't even there's no argument there really to me. There's better players at each position, I'm sure, individually on different teams, and I won't argue that, but I would just say as a collective, our front seven, those guys all paired together, we have to be at least top 10. Like, we've got some of the best. We got one of the best lines in the league, and we've got some of the best linebackers in the league.
Yeah,
that has to mean something. So we took a defense that was completely helpless, especially in the second half of the year, and strengthened every single part of it, including the coaching. And I'm not saying this is not even coming from a biased opinion. Like, everything I'm saying to you is something you can go watch on film and see. They're verifiable facts. These are truths. And then we move over to offense. Everybody knows that even if we kept Calvin Ridley, we needed an X factor receiver, because Calvin Ridley's elite, but for us at least, he was not that X factor receiver. He was not taking the game over. He did that.
Calvin Ridley like a top 15 receiver. I don't even like you're giving him elite. I wouldn't give Ridley elite. I'm giving him like 10 to 15, bro.
Well, I'm saying
he's good for us.
His potential.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, that's based on suspended Ridley and his one season back with the Jaguars. You know, that's what that's based on, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, because like route running, he's still got some of the sharpest routes in the league.
Right.
Yeah.
He still cuts a route like a fucking razor blade. Okay.
Yeah.
That right there alone is enough to garner elite, because half of the fucking battle of being a receiver is hands and route running. I mean, now if he closed the hands, he would garner, to me, he'd be worth every dime that he got paid. You know what I mean? If he could just close the fucking gap. But regardless, enough on Ridley. We knew that regardless whether we kept Ridley or not, we needed to bring in somebody that could change the game. Brian Thomas Jr. is that guy, I think. Now, you take away Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. is absolutely one of the most talked about receivers. And he still was. Like, even with Malik Neighbors being on the team. And I don't think that Malik Neighbors was the number one on LSU because he was just that much better than Brian Thomas Jr. I just think that the system they were in benefited Neighbors better, because they have a very similar skill set. And Brian Thomas Jr., if I'm not mistaken, is actually faster and a little bit more athletic as far as like the go up, the size, all those things. Like, he has the better traits. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about the size. I don't remember.
I like Brian Thomas, man. He's got some really good film. I'd actually watched him a lot, just during the draft process. I like him a lot. I didn't get a chance to watch too much LSU this year, but when I went back and looked at prospects, Brian Thomas is I see why you guys are excited about him. I think it's valid. It's valid.
So we can say 100% we improved there. Gabe Davis is very underrated for the production that he did give, in my opinion. Like, if you look at his, especially playoff receptions, like his touchdown receptions, he leads, or he's second. No, he's second. He's second in playoff touchdown receptions, which means he can show up in big games. He doesn't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? Like, and this is on a team with Stephon Diggs, and he's not second to Stephon Diggs. I'd have to say either.
Now, is that inflated because of that one Kansas City game, though, where he went off? Is that consistent, or is it a little inflated? Not trying to downgrade it.
No, you're right. And this I will say, obviously that helps the stat, but if Buffalo was comfortable with running the offense through Gabe Davis when they had a guy like Stephon Diggs, that should speak highly of Gabe Davis and his work ethic and who he is as a player. Because Stephon Diggs, we know, is good. Okay, he's very good. I don't think he's elite anymore. He was, but I do not think he's still there. But that's a whole nother debate, regardless. But if they were willing to run it through Gabe Davis, like we said, that speaks volumes of Gabe Davis. So we'll put him there. Say he's the 2 right now. Number 3, Christian Kirk, slot receiver. Don't care what anybody says. He is one of the best slot receivers in the NFL right now. That guy, he is, and there's no. You can't argue that, and then you move past that. Parker Washington is a younger, faster, more physical Christian Kirk. When Christian Kirk's time in Jacksonville is over, Parker Washington will be a certified stud. I guarantee it. just look at the games he did come in and the plays he made. He's got that dog in him. That boy is a dog. Absolutely. But that's more bias. So I will say, leave him off of it. But regardless, we got good backups too. So in a receiving room where we were pretty depleted last year, it felt like in talent wise, because Calvin Ridley was a lot of talent. Christian Kirk's a good amount of talent, but then we got exposed when Kirk got hurt and Ridley couldn't close the fucking gap. Right. So we took a receiving room that didn't perform and filled it with a whole fuckload of playmakers. You know what I mean? So I feel like we improved there. Our offensive line, gleaming fucking issue. We know it. Everybody knows it. I think it's debatable whether you guys had a worse offensive line than us. I think we traded at times because both of our offensive lines were dog shit.
Ain't no way, man. Hey, I just look, man.
I know. We're both going to say this.
Obviously, I did not watch every Jacksonville game, but I'm telling you, dude. Like it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. Same here. Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, we literally say it all the time that we had the worst center in football, no doubt, hands down. And we could go back and forth about this all day because we both watched our own respective games and we both can agree that our offensive lines were atrocious. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We even made great strides there. Now, I won't count Ezra Cleveland in the offseason move. He came before then, but Ezra Cleveland is huge in that because he's a very solid player, like very solid, which is a fucking massive improvement versus the shit we were playing. Mm-hmm. So you got Ezra Cleveland. Cam Robinson, when he is healthy, he can be good. He can be really good. It just really depends on what Cam shows up. But that's one of the problems we still have.
Okay? So how nasty he want to be.
Yep. Yeah. Center, we bring in Mitch Morse. After Jason Kelsey, there's not a whole lot of centers that are better than Mitch Morse. There are better, but there's not a whole fuckload. It's not like he's a bad center. He's a really good center still. Moving past him, we bring in we have players that we're moving around, but I'm just going to talk about who we added. And Javon Foster, SEC All-American. That's a physical fucking conference. And for a lineman to make All-American, that boy was putting in some work in the trenches. No ifs, ands, or buts.
For sure.
So we brought in Javon Foster. We get stronger there. And I don't think it's not debatable. Anton Harrison's a stud. That boy is a stud out there. I mean, so we strengthened one of our worst groups as well, our offensive line.
Okay.
And I think, to me, that literally, other than we did not change offensive coordinators, we even got rid of our kicker. Our kicker was dog shit, and we got rid of him. I mean, we drafted a kicker, Cam Little. Cam Little, me and Isaiah and the guys were talking about this earlier today. That guy's a fucking monster. He kicked a 65-yarder that had enough carry to at least have hit from 75. Like, I'm not bullshitting you. This guy is a fucking monster.
That's crazy.
I'm so serious. And the Jaguars, dude, oh my God, that dude is a monster.
Yes. And
so
if we had him
better in special teams, like we addressed every need, is basically what I'm saying. Like, there's not a need that we didn't address other than offensive coordinator, and we're still addressing it by whether or not Doug is going to take play calling duties back or not. Right. We'll see. That's irrespective. Like, that doesn't even matter at this point. But to me, that's why I say leave the big names out. Not because obviously anybody would say Texans because of the big names, but because I'm talking about productivity for your team. Danielle Hunter's really good, but Danico Autry, I think Danico Autry will be kind of outshined by Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. That won't be something that's like he was a real good contributor. You know what I mean? And they took Fadakasi from us. They got Fadakasi from us. He was a fucking bum. Healthy. He was a fucking bum. He couldn't stay healthy. They can have him. They made good pickups as well, but they didn't address anything in their secondary. I don't feel like they didn't do shit there, really. They really only addressed defensive line, running back, and receiver. Other than that, they didn't do anything else. They just signed big names in those positions, so everybody's just like, oh, they did so fucking well. The Titans, I feel, did more in the offseason than they did as far as like addressing needs for the entire team, not just one group, And that's why I personally say Jacksonville had the most productive offseason. I'm not saying that we had the biggest, but I do think we had the most productive because, in my opinion, we definitely addressed the most needs. That's a fact. I mean, we addressed the most needs. We addressed every single skill group. Every single one of the rooms in the building we addressed. Now,
valid points. You're educating me, man. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I might hate it.
Because like whether or not they all pan out, that's yet to be seen. But that's not even what the debate about off seasons are about. So like we addressed every single one of our position rooms. There's not a position room left untouched. We addressed every one of them. Even like special teams returners, we brought in Devin Duvernay. Like we literally touched on everything. We touched everything. And I think that's what off season's about. That's what you're supposed to do, is address your needs. And we found a way to improve in every single one of them.
Yeah.
Preaching.
Let's touch on wrapping this shit up, baby. It's time.
Wow, we just getting started, man.
Hey, the cows are coming home, and
I didn't even get started. No, we good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks for coming on, Mayr.
My pleasure, man.
And I know too. I know the initial question. I do think that the Titans touched on a lot of groups that they needed to. I think Jacksonville did as well. I think Colts didn't do shit as always. They had a solid draft, but their free agency, they really didn't do anything. Texans, they did Texans things. We're going to see if that worked out or not this next season. But, I definitely appreciate you for coming on. Good conversation.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm going to get you guys on our show too. Maybe next week I'll get one of you guys on.
Yeah,
Trev,
one of us.
Get you on.
Definitely. Just hit us up and we'll get that going. And thanks for coming on.
Get us all on there.
Yeah.
And
shout out.
Definitely. And then another one of the what am I trying to say? I'm tired. Yeah, one of the people on our show, they'll come on here too. Like we'll just kind of shuffle around.
Yeah, and just want to shout out to Worm real quick, so I know Worm will be here whenever we at the very end of the show.
Worm.
Y'all have a good one. Y'all got anything to say?
Wait. Make sure y'all subscribe.
Yeah,
hit them likes. Come on. CPN and N Teal.
Share, subscribe.
Say what?
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah. All right.